Convenience stores have everything we need on the fly, making them, well, convenient. And 7-Eleven is the world's leading convenience store. You may be thinking, 7-Eleven is a gas station. Yes, you can buy gas at 7-Eleven, but we can thank 7-Eleven for combining gas and convenience. With over 71,000 7-Eleven stores worldwide, and the vast majority of them in Asian countries, how did the Dallas-born convenience store evolve to be the most popular one-stop shop in Asia? 7-Eleven first started as nothing more than a place to buy ice towards the tail end of the 1920s. John Jefferson Green, or Uncle Johnny as the company refers to him, had an idea. Back in the day, commercial and affordable in-home freezers weren't a thing in the Dallas area. At best, you had an ice box, and relied on the local retailer to supply blocks of ice. Of course, ice melts, and Jefferson figured he could capitalize on the rate at which people bought ice. Grocery stores and general stores existed at the time, but they were only located in the more populated areas, often too far away for someone who just needed a jug of milk or a loaf of bread. Jefferson approached the higher-ups at Southland Ice Company and pitched his bread, milk, and egg idea. The idea was as good in practice as it was on paper, and Jefferson eventually bought Southland Ice Company outright. 7-Eleven, though, hadn't been born yet. Jefferson's stores were still Southland Ice Stocks, but that didn't mean he wasn't looking into the future of automobiles. The soon-to-be convenience store mecca became the first store to start selling gasoline. The uptick in popularity and the placement of an Alaskan native totem pole outside the store coined the phrase totem stores, a better shorthand alternative to Southland Ice Stock. The Great Depression rocked every business owner in the 1930s, and Southland wasn't any safer. They declared bankruptcy and entered into something of a rebuilding period. A money-smart Dallas banker eventually bailed out Southland, but we can all thank the end of Prohibition for revitalizing Uncle Johnny's vision. Southland began selling beer and liquor, which propelled the franchise into the World War II era. After the war, it was time for a facelift. The growing business needed a more recognizable name, reflecting their newly implemented business hours of 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. It's true that 7-Eleven did at one time operate during the hours as its name would suggest. 7-Eleven was officially born and spread through Texas and the rest of the United States. Stores popped up in Florida, Pennsylvania, Virginia, and Maryland. 7-Eleven opened its 1,000th store by 1963. That same year, a store near the University of Texas in Austin changed the way 7-Eleven would operate forever. Football games ended late, and the result was Austin streets filled with thirsty and hungry college fans. They also needed to fill up their gas tanks for the ride home. A nearby 7-Eleven was so busy that they were forced to stay open long past closing time. The revenue was too good to ignore, and the store decided to stay open 24/7. There wasn't any stop to 7-Eleven at that time, and 1963 can be bookmarked as the year 7-Eleven attempted to be an international icon. But first, 7-Eleven bought over 100 Speedy Mart stores in California and officially expanded its domestic business from coast to coast. However, it was a semi-frozen carbonated beverage that sent 7-Eleven to heights they never thought they'd achieve. The Slurpee drink was a nationwide hit, but 7-Eleven didn't just stop there. They became the first convenience store to start selling ready-made coffee to go. By 1969, 7-Eleven maintained over 3,500 stores in the US and moved north to Canada. By the end of the 70s, 7-Eleven hit their 5,000th store and furthered their overseas development in Japan. Gas, beer, Slurpees, and coffee propelled 7-Eleven into the 1980s. But that was the decade they bit off a bit more than they could chew. Rumors spread of a corporate buyout of 7-Eleven, and the majority-owning Thompson family wanted to keep the company private. They spent over $5 billion on a management buyout of 7-Eleven, but they suffered in the aftermath of Black Monday during the 1987 stock market crash. 7-Eleven was forced to sell off assets such as Chief Auto Parts, hundreds of stores around the US, and even their ice division. In 1990, 7-Eleven declared bankruptcy for the second time in company history. Thankfully, an opportunity in Japan was there to breathe new life into the company. Ito Yokado, a Japanese retail store company, bought 70% of the bankrupt convenience store, a financial move that rightfully raised some eyebrows around the world. However, if the Japanese proved anything, they were far better at running 7-Eleven. According to 7-Eleven Japan, they aimed to increase its investment in merchandising, store renovation, distribution, logistics, and information systems. 7-Eleven Japan and Ito Yokado now owned 70% of the company. The Thompson family, once the majority controller, now owned only 5%. In 2005, Ito formed 7&I Holdings to act as the holding company for 7-Eleven and Ito-Yokado. In 2019, they were the 18th largest retailer in the world, behind companies such as Amazon, Walmart, and CVS. From the 1920s to 70s, Ito was a chain of grocery and clothing stores throughout Japan. In 1974, they opened the first 7-Eleven in Japan and franchised a Denny's restaurant in Tokyo. Today, there are 29 Denny's restaurants in Tokyo. To put that in perspective, there are only 45 Denny's in all of New York State. As for 7-Eleven, there are roughly 21,000 stores in Japan, accounting for 30% of all 7-Eleven stores. They have stores in all 43 Japanese prefectures, with 2,800 stores in Tokyo alone. To put that in perspective, there are only 1,200 McDonald's restaurants in all of California. So what makes 7-Eleven so popular in Japan that they account for 30% of all stores on the planet? Well, let's revisit what the Japanese said 7-Eleven had to improve on when they bought the company. Merchandising, renovation, distribution, logistics, and information systems. For starters, 7-Eleven in Japan offers much more merchandise than its American counterparts. You can buy anything you'd ever need at a Japanese 7-Eleven. In the US, there's ready-made food, but it's quite a limited selection. However, in Japan, you can buy entire ready-made meals. From instant noodles to steamed pork buns, these Japanese stores even come with seating areas to relax and enjoy your meal. American convenience stores often come with a hefty markup price on items you could buy in bulk for much cheaper at a local grocery. However, 7-Elevens in Japan are affordable and cheap by comparison. For example, energy drinks at an American 7-Eleven might cost you $3 each, but in Japan, they're half that price. You may think low prices mean low quality, but you'd be mistaken. 7-Eleven Japan boasts high-quality meals for a fraction of the price on the US market. You can pick up a large portion of tuna salad, equipped with egg and all, for only $2. 7-Eleven Japan also capitalizes on liquor sales, even offering tiny sake boxes that resemble juice boxes. 7-Eleven in Japan has far more snacks for the average tourist. Among the thousands of different options to choose from, they offer authentic Japanese cuisine, such as onigiri, which are bite-sized rice balls wrapped in seaweed. Instant noodles may just be the most popular items in Japanese 7-Elevens, as there are entire aisles dedicated to them. No, these aren't the typical ramen noodles found in the US. The selection is as gourmet as a cup of noodles can get. For example, one brand that you can only buy in 7-Eleven Japan comes from the Michelin star ramen restaurant Nakiryu. A $2 cup of Michelin star grade instant noodles is available at one of almost 21,000 7-Eleven restaurants throughout Japan. Food and quick snacks aren't the only things that separate Japanese 7-Elevens from its Western stores. A high population density combined with short break times and heavy foot traffic makes convenience stores an essential part of Japanese life. For example, you can pay your bills, buy train tickets, print documents, and take advantage of high-speed Wi-Fi, all from the comfort of 7-Eleven. Stores also offer ATMs that accept all foreign credit cards. Even though most of Japan doesn't deal in cash, several small restaurants and businesses still only accept yen. ATMs at 7-Eleven make withdrawing yen even easier for international tourists. The fact that so many 7-Elevens exist make trips to the grocery store when you would need to buy things in bulk. It's easier to stop by 7-Eleven every day rather than go out to the grocery store to buy a week's worth of groceries. While Japan is home to most 7-Elevens in the world, the business model has spread throughout Asia. Taiwan is another country where 7-Elevens are an essential fact of life. You can often find a 7-Eleven as little as a few hundred feet apart, as each store is dedicated to serving residents of each specific area. Thailand comes in second in the world with the most 7-Elevens, with almost 12,000 stores. Just like Japan and Taiwan, Thai 7-Elevens have all the same upgrades and conveniences. Thailand is also home to the world's largest and most luxurious 7-Eleven. The two-story building resembles a cruise ship on the outside. It even comes with its own outdoor dining area. The building keeps up with its nautical theme on the inside, with a massive digital aquarium across the back wall, along with decorative buoys and ship blueprints. Upstairs is a lounge and eating area akin to an upscale Starbucks. You can order food and coffee from the counter and escape the Thai heat in the air-conditioned dining room. Asian 7-Elevens are more like convenience restaurants than they are convenience stores. The stores provide you with utensils to eat your meals if you're eating in, or hot water for your noodles. Those traveling on a budget throughout Southeast Asia can save money on food and drink at 7-Elevens instead of eating out at a restaurant. The loose restrictions on open alcohol container laws throughout Asia also means that travelers can drink on a budget. For example, in the popular night spot area in Lan Kwai Fong in Hong Kong, there are 7-Elevens less than 100 feet apart, right outside popular bars and clubs. These 7-Elevens are known as Club 7-Elevens, as many expats and locals would buy drinks from 7-Eleven and gather outside on the street with drinks in hand. 2020 was a big spending year for 7 & I Holdings as they closed on a $21 billion buyout of Speedway, the convenience store chain operated by Marathon Petroleum Corporation. It's believed that Marathon was looking to sell the Speedway division to raise cash against a struggling oil refining business, along with diminished profits as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. The deal added 3,600 more stores to 7-Eleven's portfolio across 36 U.S. states, bringing the total number of North American stores to roughly 14,000. The next target to 7 & I Holdings is to reach 20,000 North American stores in the coming years. Will this be done through more corporate deals, or by franchising more 7-Eleven stores to private owners? The Speedway buy wasn't the only big-ticket item in recent years. In 2018, 7 & I purchased Sunoco LP, another Texas-based chain of convenience stores, for $3.1 billion. 7 & I has had an interesting track record of spending millions of dollars at what most analysts would call inopportune times. First was the initial $430 million cash infusion into a bankrupt 7-Eleven in the 90s that started it all. Now, they just did a $21 billion deal amid a global pandemic. Click to watch one of these next videos.